This video is about Chris Chan's mental health and my personal diagnosis of him as an armchair wannabe psychologist with no degree or qualifications whatsoever. I would like to clarify, once again, I do not possess any type of professional qualification or credentials as a psychologist. The content of this video is based on a combination of subjective opinion, public knowledge that you can easily find yourself, and personal and anecdotal experiences. I consider myself more of a citizen journalist with a keen interest in mental health, I guess maybe for my own experiences. It is crucial to acknowledge that this video is not intended as a substitute for professional help under any means, nor is it a substitute for professional advice or opinions. If something I say in this video goes against something your mental health provider is saying, you need to listen to your mental health provider, because they're going to know you way better than some guy on the internet ever could. In this video, I will focus specifically on Chris Chan during the year 2007 when he was approximately 25 years old. For those who are unfamiliar with Chris Chan, I encourage conducting prior research before proceeding with this video, or else it wouldn't really make a lot of sense. Anyways, like I was saying, in 2007, he was about 25 years old. And during this period, he resided in a really extremely unsanitary and just cluttered living environment, which undoubtedly wrecked his mental health. There's no way somebody like that, at that age, with those deficiencies, can thrive in such a disgusting and filthy environment. Chris has done some house tours before of his filthy environment, and there's just toys everywhere, which is not good for a young autistic man to be looking at when they need to be, focusing on their life. There was feces absolutely everywhere from animals and humans, which can absolutely cause mental health conditions. Oh, hi, Lucy. Speaking of animals, come here. Here we go. But yeah, he had a very disgusting living environment. I don't even know how he survived it. And the animal feces in the area absolutely can give somebody, with the sheer magnitude of feces that was everywhere, there's no way that wasn't affecting his mental health. Yeah, he's just surrounded by filth and feces and just mess and disorganization and neglect. And like I said, the figures and toys around this 25-year-old grown adult autistic man who should be focusing on a job or focusing on a passion, like an adult passion, or just something of the sort. This is just very bad for his sensory overload and definitely was throwing him off in life. I would actually attribute this living situation to almost 80% of his problem. But that part's just a completely subjective opinion, so take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, like I was stating, the hoarding is actually a sign of narcissistic traits, considering that the narcissistic person thinks that the trash and the items they collect, such as games, action figures, are worth so much because, maybe they bought it or they were given it or it's their garbage. They think it's worth a lot more than it is. That, and I would assume Chris is just really depressed and lazy. Moving on to his interpersonal life and relationships, it becomes very apparent that someone with such a tumultuous personal life and atrocious track record of just being human and having a social life would, it's no surprise he had difficulties forming healthy connections and still does to this very day. His relationship with his mom was weird and boundary crossing, which was later proven true. His mom completely enabled and benefited from him for a variety of reasons. And his dad seems to be very well intentioned. I don't think his dad's evil or anything, but his dad is just chronically dysfunctional. I'm pretty sure he's an alcoholic. He definitely exhibits narcissistic traits, but he wasn't evil. I think he was just a dude in a bad situation at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he just let himself go. Whatever. Chris has endured significant trauma throughout his life, starting all the way back in childhood, including neglect, emotional abuse, and more. During very early formative years, And those kinds of experiences can really hinder emotional development, and it can impede your ability to even achieve life goals, like basic life goals and life skills. And at the level of neglect Chris was at, I mean, just, wow. And I mean, he didn't even really interact with anybody at all. Like, he didn't even really have to. And when he did have to interact with people, they were people his parents set up as his friends, like people who just felt bad for him because they sympathized with, his circumstances. But Chris took those interactions at face value. Of course, it's a sad story, but there's some elements of humor to it, obviously. Chris internalized and altered, perception of how other people see him due to this stuff, though, and he developed really exaggerated beliefs regarding his importance and abilities and just everything. He also has a lot of challenges in establishing sexual relationships, which further compounds his frustrations. Notably, some of his online encounters include women who love him only to be revealed to be trolls. One time he was even masturbating, to what he thought was a girl. He thought he was having internet sex, which is a very common thing. I might make another video about that. He thought he was having internet sex with a girl, only to find out he was having internet sex with a 13-year-old boy. Ooh. That's very traumatizing. I can't imagine that helped his already struggling development in his early 20s. Chris's creation of the comic book series Sonichu has been a long-standing fixation and significant aspect of his life for some reason. This preoccupation, coupled with idiosyncratic behavior and fragmented thinking, raises, maybe some questions about possibly schizophrenia. I don't know very much about schizophrenia, though. My knowledge base is more based on narcissism and psychopath. Lastly, it's very crucial to acknowledge Chris's history of violent behavior. Chris is an incredibly violent individual. Oh my god, throughout his entire life he has just been pushing boundaries, and not in like a cool way. I mean personal boundaries, personal basic boundaries for your well-being. He crosses all of them, and he gets in a lot of confrontations. For example, he once ran over a elderly man with a vehicle with the intent to severely harm him over an argument relating to a card game store. His dietary habits also notably deviate from a healthy norm, which is putting it very nicely, because most of it is McDonald's. I mean, like 99% of the food he eats is fast food. It's McDonald's, it's Subway, it's whatever he can get his hands on. He is not good at cooking. When he does cook, he adds really disgusting ingredients to things. He, oversaturates his food with sugar, salt, butter to such a degree that it is shocking he has not developed some kind of, disorder like diabetes. In summary, based on this somewhat convoluted but unqualified assessment, it appears that Chris Chan exhibits severe, unchecked narcissistic personality disorder, in addition to his autism spectrum condition, of which he clearly does not have Asperger's. I'll just go ahead and verify that much for you. I don't know a lot for certain, but I know that for certain. There's also the possibility of developing schizophrenia if he doesn't already have it. Furthermore, his lifestyle choices and dietary habits strongly indicate severe depression. And frankly, overall, I think he's just somebody who was neglected and given no guidance or support or care at all because nobody really cared about him or if he really even lived or died. It's basically just a long, tragic tale of unaddressed conditions and unmet needs. That wasn't that funny. Funny enough to loll at this lolcow. Regarding Chris Chan's future, it seems kind of uncertain. I could make a few predictions, and I think most of them would be right because this isn't a very high-stakes situation. He was released from prison recently, and he has a ton of fame now, infamy, so he's probably going to have tons of financial opportunities in the future. He'll probably get his own show. I'm sure he's at a stage of his life where he'll probably start recovering a little bit, just simply due to his notoriety. I mean, he's too known now. I don't think he'll just go back to his old ways unaddressed. Thanks for watching, and bear in mind this analysis is grounded solely in personal observation. It's not a substitute for anything. See ya.